Work. Work. Let's work.
We're in the trenches, breaking down the defensive line from technique and fundamentals to NFL and college football analysis. You're listening to Big Dog Trench Talk.
Work. 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 Let's work.
What's up, Big Dog? This is Coach Roll, and we're in the lab with Big Dog Trench Talk. Big Dog Football is an extension of BigDogFootball.com. We are the Netflix of defensive line content. Whatever it is that you're looking for, techniques versus the run, pass rush tutorials on the pass rush, stunts, whatever you're looking for, we have it at BigDogFootball.com. We have tons of people subscribing, and we appreciate all that write to us and messages letting us know how effective and efficient Big Dog Football has been to your football program. Guys, Big Dog, we're all about getting you better. We're all about making you the best defensive lineman in the trenches that you can be. That's what we're about. We dedicate tons of time to making sure that you are the best defensive lineman, you are the best pass rusher that you can be. So Big Dog, when you get a chance, visit me at www.bigdogfootball.com. That's BIGDAWG football.com. Come check out one of the best defensive line websites on site. Come check it out. Big Dog, welcome to another episode of Big Dog Trench Talk. Season 2, episode 19. If you can't focus, you can't fight. Being able to be a playmaker is everything. If you can't make plays, why play football? Everybody wants to be a playmaker. Everybody wants to make plays. Everybody wants to be a game changer. Everybody wants to be a great football player. However, do we know what it takes to be a playmaker? What does it mean to be a playmaker? I would be very interested to see, just coaches, what your thoughts are on what it means to be a playmaker. If you had to sit down and talk to your guys, a group of defensive linemen, what would you tell them? How would you answer that question? What does it mean to be a playmaker? I know one thing. A lot of times when it comes to being able to identify who a playmaker is, beforehand, we look at all the tangible things, all the things we can measure. We look at how tall a guy is. We look at his weight. We look at his size. We look at his speed, his quickness. We look at his agility. We look at a lot of things we can measure. His 40 time, his 5-10-5, or his shuttle, his Elkhorn drill. We look at a lot of different things to be able to identify if this guy is indeed a playmaker. But playing in the trenches and coaching guys that play in the trenches, watching film and analyzing film, there is one thing that some coaches do not actually evaluate when it comes to being able to identify if a guy's a playmaker or not. And that thing, that intangible thing, is having the ability to focus. Having the ability to focus. Show me a man that can focus, and I'll show you a man who can fight. Woo! All right, Big Dog, let's talk trenches. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a boxer. I wanted to fight in the ring. One of the reasons why I wanted to be a boxer was because my dad was a boxer growing up. And he would tell me all the stories about how he boxed, how he would kind of, go into the ring. Mom told him not to, but he would go and he would love to box. So he would go and he would go practice boxing all the time. He actually went through some fights and was pretty good. At least what he told me. And so that made me appreciate boxing a lot more, because who doesn't want to be like their dad, right? And so here I am watching boxing. And as I watched boxing, year after year after year, I began to watch some of the best to box. right? I mean, I watch guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I watch these guys. I never had the privilege of watching these guys live, like watching them in person. But I'd always watch them on TV. Me and my dad, my brothers sitting there watching the boxing match. And watching these guys fight in the ring, there's a different kind of focus that they have. There's a different kind of hand and eye coordination that they have. These guys have the ability to fight because they have the ability to focus. And you watch them be very strategic as to when they throw their hands and how they throw their hand and with how much force. But the thing that really intrigued me the most was their focus. Their focus. Big dog, if you can focus, you can fight. And then I looked more into it. And I'm not a boxing expert. I just enjoy the art of it. I enjoy the preparation it takes. I enjoy the work that they put in. I enjoy what they do to get to where they are. I enjoy the preparation they put in. I enjoy the work ethic that they put in, the determination, the grit. And I love the art of it. I love their mechanics. I love what they do to get themselves prepared for a boxing match. But as I study it even closer, I'm identifying how great they are with their eyes and their focus, being able to focus in on a target and hit it. Now, it's one thing to be able to focus on something that's not moving, but it's another thing to be able to focus on something that is. Now, if the target that you're trying to hit is moving, that's tough. That's very difficult because it's not standing in one place, right? Also, if the target is not moving, but you are, that's still difficult because you are moving. Either way, moving or the target moving is difficult to focus. Either way, it is very difficult to focus on a moving target. It is also difficult to focus on a target that's coming towards you at rapid speed. That's another thing. And that's why I love watching boxers play on the defense, watching them being very defensive as you see them turn and move their bodies in such a way as they're being able to focus on that glove or that punch that's coming at them, and they will move their bodies in such a way where they will miss that punch or they will work their bodies to deflect the punch. It's an amazing thing to see these boxers in the ring focus on a moving target. But that's the key. If you look at these two guys in the boxing ring that are boxing and they are trying to win the boxing match, they are focused. Their ability to focus is unparalleled. Now, as I said, I'm not a boxing expert, but I looked into how do judges score each round. And there are a lot of different things that they look at as I researched. But one of the things that they look for is punches thrown versus punches land. Punches thrown versus the punches that land. So to just throw a whole bunch of punches and not land those punches are not effective, are not beneficial. So when a boxer throws a punch, he wants to land that punch. He wants to be effective in his punch. And that requires great focus. Show me a man that can focus, and I can show you a man that can fight. How different is it for a defensive lineman rushing against an offensive lineman? How different is it for a defensive lineman that's trying to be effective in his pass rush? How different is it that D tackle versus that guard that is in front of him, how different is it with his focus? Can you imagine a boxer in a boxing ring? I haven't seen it. Maybe you've seen it. I have not seen it. But a blind man trying to box would be very difficult, because it would be very difficult for him to obviously focus with his eyes on what's in front of him. Now, as silly as that may seem, a boxer being blind or a blind boxer, we see it all the time. We see it all the time when we're watching guys rush the passer. I see it all the time when I'm watching guys play the game. They're throwing their hands, big dog, but they ain't landing. They're not being effective. I'm seeing guys swing and miss. I'm seeing guys trying to do different pass rush moves and their hands aren't landing. I mean, I can give you an A for effort, but I want to give you an E for being effective. When you look at and you study defensive linemen, great pass rushers that are effective, pass rushers that are very precise with their hands, I guarantee you that their eyes and their ability to focus in the fight is unparalleled. The best you've seen. We look at the size, we look at the weight, we look at the quickness and the speed and the agility and all that stuff we look at. And those are important things. Those are absolutely important things. But it's so amazing when we see somebody that's not as big, not as strong, not as fast, yet be effective in the trenches. It's amazing because we equate somebody big and tall and long and strong and fast. We equate that with being successful at the line of scrimmage, when that's not necessarily true. I know lots of guys who are big and strong and fast, who can run, who are very agile and versatile, but they're not effective in the trenches because of their inability to focus in the fight. You have to be able to focus in the fight. You have to be able to zoom in on your POA. You have to be able to zoom in on your point of attack. And it has to happen when you get real tight to that fight, because that's where impact happens. That's where you have that small window of opportunity for your hands to land. We work on all kinds of moves, and we do all those different things in the offseason that are effective, that are important to do. But sometimes we don't train our eyes enough. We don't train our ability to focus when we get tight. When I evaluate a defensive lineman, when I evaluate a guy, when I'm working with him for the first time, I evaluate his sight. I want to see if he has the ability to focus. So what I'll do is I'll take a tennis ball and I'll write letters and numbers on that tennis ball. And I'll stand at about 5 yards and I'll throw it to him. And I'll see if they can catch the ball. And of course, I'm looking for how they catch the ball, but I want to see them catch the ball at 5 yards. Then I'll move up to 3 yards. And I'll throw that tennis ball, both hands. And I'll see if they can catch the ball. And then I'll move to about 1.5 yards. It's interesting because at 1.5 yards is where I've seen a lot of guys that I've worked with start to miss that ball, or they'll change the way they attack the ball. Man, I found that very interesting. And I began to say, why is it that this athlete is changing the way they're catching the ball, and they're not being as accurate with catching the ball at about 1.5 yards? What's going on? And I began to realize that their focus changes depending on where that point is, depending on where that ball is. It's different. They can see it coming a mile away when I'm 5 yards away, when I'm 3 yards away. But as I get closer, they have a hard time trying to calibrate or track. It's a better word. They have a hard time of tracking the target. They have a hard time of tracking the target. And then I start having them come towards the ball as I throw the ball. Man, that's a whole different thing. And I realized at those points that being able to focus in the fight makes you a playmaker. That is an intangible thing that is sure to give you the ability to make plays. Big dog, let me dig a little deeper in this. Here you are, a loose 3 or a wide 3, almost pretty much a 4-eye. And you need this pass rush. And you've got to get after the quarterback. We need this play. We've got to make a play. You a playmaker, you got to make a play. And there goes the ball. Ball move. Down said, hut. And there you go. Getting off the ball. And you see the quarterback. And you see that offensive lineman in front of you. And as you get closer to that offensive lineman, all my big dogs out there, I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you see that offensive lineman's hand all the way to his bubble? Do you see that offensive lineman's hand all the way through? What are you actually looking at when it is time to make impact? What are you looking at when it's time to make impact? What are you looking at? What is your focus? Are you looking at the quarterback so you end up just bullying the guy? Are you looking at the offensive lineman, just looking at him with no specific point of attack, so you just do something? Do you get really close to the offensive lineman and you see him, but you don't really see him because you're looking at so much, or you're not looking at nothing at all? So you just try to do a move and you hope your hands land? Is that you? That was me. At one point in time, that was me. It had nothing to do with my eyesight. Yes, I wear glasses. I wore contacts. Had nothing to do with it. But it had all to do with my inability to focus at the point of attack. It had all to do with my inability to focus on a point of attack. Now I could see his hand in my stance, or his wrist, or whatever it is that I wanted to attack, depending on the move. I could see it in my stance, but when I got really close, it's almost like I blacked out for a split second, not even a split second. I blacked out and not passed out, just blacked out, like I closed my eyes. Anybody ever closed their eyes before in football, right? Maybe right before you hit somebody, right before you punch somebody, or right at the point of contact, right at impact. Have you ever closed your eyes before? I have. And I start realizing, how can I be effective in my strikes if I'm blinking, if I'm closing my eyes, if I'm not really focusing on my point of attack? And that's the challenge, is that when we get to the point of attack, we can have the motives, and we can have the motivation to defeat the guy in front of me. But big dog, when you are in that small boxing ring, you and that offensive guard, you and that center, you and that offensive tackle, you are in this small boxing ring and you got your hands up, but you're looking in the audience, big dog. You're looking behind the guy in front of you. How effective can you be? If you can't focus, you can't fight. Big dog, the truth of the matter is this. We can talk all day long about what the best pass rush move is to do. We can say that cross chop is amazing, and it is an amazing move. We can talk about the quick swim. We can talk about spin move. We can talk about the speed to bull, or the speed to power, or the power to finesse. We can talk about all of those different approaches and philosophies on how to be a really great pass rusher. But none of that means anything if we can't focus. Now, I'm not talking about focusing 5 yards away. I'm not talking about focusing 3 yards away. I'm talking about being able to focus at the point of attack. Being able to focus on the point of attack. We can't be effective if we can't focus. We can't fight if we can't focus. We can't be precise if we can't focus. That's where it is, big dog. Sometimes it's not even necessarily about what move to do. It's about being focused at the point of attack. It's about getting real tight, as close as you can to the fight. Getting tight to the fight, get your hands on the strike. It's about getting to that point. That's where a lot of success happens. A lot of success happens right there when you're inches away from the player in front of you. That's where you're being impactful. That's where you're being effective, right there when you're inches away. That's where the real skill takes place. But in order for that to happen, you have to be able to focus. You can't get out of focus when it's time to fight. That's the wrong time to lose sight. When you get tight to the fight and your hands up to strike, that's the time where you have to focus when you get tight. You can't lose focus because then you can't fight. You can't lose sight when you get tight. And that's what happens sometimes, is that we lose sight when we get tight because we can't focus, so we can't fight. And that's the problem. That's where the pass rush game becomes 50%, hit and miss. We'll see what happens. No, it's no guesswork here. It's all about being able to focus when you get tight. Because if you get tight and you can't focus, you lose sight. And if you lose sight, you can't be effective at the strike. That's the problem. I remember this like it was yesterday. I had a Nintendo. The most fun I had was playing this game called Duck Hunt. Now, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, now I'm telling my age a little bit, but I ain't gonna tell you what age I got it, but I was young. And I played this game called Duck Hunt. And on the Nintendo, you had to get the gun for it. That's the only way you could play it. And there was this dog that would be laughing at you if you missed all the ducks and all that kind of stuff. And there were different things that they would release and you'd have to shoot and hit. I loved playing that game when I was growing up. I played that thing till I wore my Nintendo out. I'm telling you, that was one of my favorite games to play. And so I used to cheat a little bit. I used to take my gun and get like really close to the screen. And I would, by the time, as many times I played it, I knew where the ducks were going to be and I knew where the objects were going to be. So I would get up really close and I would put my gun on the screen and shoot. And my older brother looked at me and was like, "Man, what you doing, man? That's not how you shoot. You cheating." He says, "Back up away from it. And let me see what you can do now." And I wasn't as precise, obviously. I got frustrated because I kept missing, especially, the harder the game got, the quicker they would release the objects and the further the objects were away and the quicker they released them, the harder it was to hit the target. And so I didn't know how to pass that level. And so my brother showed me how to do it. So he said, "Man, give me this gun." So he took the gun, and at the tip of the gun was like an aimer, right? It actually helped you focus on the target. And so I knew nothing about it. I thought it was just for design. When you look down that gun, I thought it was just, something that was on there to look good. To be honest, I had no clue what that was. And so he showed me what to do. So he took the gun. Again, we're talking about Nintendo, okay? I'm talking about a gaming system. So he took the gun of the gaming system and he looked down the gun. He looked at the scope, or he looked through the part of the gun that helps you to aim. And he said, if you can look at your target through this part of the gun, you'll hit your target. And I remember like it was yesterday. I didn't believe him until I tried it. So I took the gun and I closed one eye and looked through the other. And I looked directly through my scope, or I looked through my aimer. And I had to close one eye to open up the other, but it helped me to see through a lot clearer through that gun. And that's when I started hitting all my targets. And I got to a level that I never got to in the game because I actually started to learn how to focus. I started to learn how to tune everything else out. I started to realize that everything else was a distraction in that game. And there were different things that would happen to distract me, but I started to learn how to close one eye and open up the other. And when I started to learn how to do that and focus my sight, I started getting a lot better with my strike. Big dog, I'm preaching, I'm telling you. When I learned how to focus, I started learning how to get better with my strikes. And it was interesting because I had gone a lot further in the game than I ever had gone because I finally learned how to use this tool. Big dog, one of the games, I thought the game was fun until I started learning how to shoot the gun. Then it was fun because I started doing a whole lot and I started having fun with this thing. I mean, you should have seen me, big dog. I was an expert because somebody sat me down. My brother sat me down and taught me the game. Big dog, I'm trying to teach you the game. And what I'm telling you is that you have tools that you're not using properly. I'm telling you that when you learn how to use your tools, you're going to get a lot further in the game than you ever been. When you learn how to not be distracted, how to not look at things you shouldn't be looking at, and you focus on your point of attack, I'm telling you, when you learn how to do that, when you learn how to focus in the fight, when you get tight and you keep your sight, big dog, you're going to be all right. Big dog, you're going to be more than all right. And that's when you're going to go to a whole nother level of the game that you've never been before. Because you're learning that when you get tight, you're focused, using the tools that you have to be successful. Instead of doing what I was doing, shooting and hoping that I hit something. Just winging and a prayer in that thing every single play, on a wing and a prayer. Just hoping the pass rush move works. Just hoping the quick swim will land. Just hoping my sweep will be the deal that takes me to the next level. Just hoping my stab, my powers, my chop club rips, my cross chops, oh, that's the move that's going to work. Just hoping that the move is going to take care of the man. The move ain't taking care of the man. It's your focus in the fight. That's what's going to take care of the target, is you focusing at the point of attack, and that's what's going to be the key to your success. That's it. Right there. That's what it is. Let me try this move. Let me try that move. No, now you're guessing. You're guessing. Are you focusing at the point of attack? What happens to your focus when you get tight? Don't sit there and just throw your hands and hope they land. You want to go into the game knowing exactly what you're going to do when you get there. That's what you want, big dog. You have to calibrate your eyes. I'm sure you heard of the phrase hand and eye coordination. Hand and eye coordination. Well, how can your hands be coordinated without your eyes? How precise can your hands be without your eyes? So then, what does this look like in a pass rush? So here I am, pass rushing. I burst this bubble. I'm playing with good leverage. My hands are paired. As we talked about in previous episodes, my hands are paired because at that point I can do whatever move I want to do, I can do if I have my hands paired. Not only are my hands paired, but my chest plate is protected. But now I'm following his hand all the way through. I am looking at his arm. I got my hands up and I'm doing the quick swim. So what am I going to do? I'm looking at his wrist to hand. I'm looking at the wrist to hand. And my outside arm is going to attack that spot right there. The spot I'm looking at. Hand and eye coordination. If my eyes are on it, my hand will hit it. If my eyes are on it, my hand will hit it. And here I am getting ready to do that quick swim. And my hands are paired. And my chest is down, laser down. And I'm looking at his wrist to hand ratio. That's what I'm looking at right there. That range from wrist to hand. My outside hand is going to come down on that hand while my inside hand, my blocker, stays up. Soon as I knock it, I chop it with my inside hand. Now, where's that hidden? My second hand is hidden as close to that wrist as possible or elbow to wrist range. So on that quick swim, I'm going for the wrist on the first attack, and the second attack on the quick swim, which is my inside hand, I'm going for the elbow to wrist. Wrist to hand, elbow to wrist. That range right there. That takes precision. That takes focus. Being able to look at your point, look at it all the way through, and making sure your hands land. Big dog, that is extremely important when it comes to being a successful pass rusher. And I can talk about any move right now, any move you want. But it doesn't matter if you can't focus on your points of attack. Being able to focus, knowing the points to hit, and being able to focus on the points is the most important thing when it comes to pass rushing. I guarantee you, knowing the points of attack and being able to focus on the points of attack is the most important thing. Is the most important thing you can work on and master as a pass rusher. You will be a great pass rusher if you can focus. If you can focus. Because now you're not rushing the passer, hoping your hands land. You're rushing the passer, knowing your hands will land. Knowing your hands will land. On certain moves, we talk about attacking the near number. That is our point of attack if we're powering or long arming. Sometimes we talk about attacking the far number if we're trying to counter or if we're trying to get him to turn his shoulder towards us. We'll attack the far number. You look at a lot of these great pass rushers, and they can do the same move over and over again and still be effective from game to game, from week to week. Because once you get real tight to that fight, when you get tight to that offensive lineman, and you know what you're focusing on, your hands will land. Your hands will land. So, big dog, what do I recommend? I highly recommend that you work on getting close to the man and focus on those hands. Get close to the man and focus on his hands. Get close to the man and focus on his hands. That's what I will work on. I will work on your eyes being able to see near and far. Being able to see far, and then as you get near, focusing on his hands when you get close to the man. That's what I will focus on. Each and every move you do, that's what I will focus on. You can't work on that without working on the move. So what I'm saying is I will work on my quick swim, and I will work on getting close to the man and attacking his hands with the quick swim. I will work on getting close to the man and attacking his hands with a sweep. I will work on getting close to the man and attacking his hands with a chop club rip or a cross chop. I will work on getting close to the man and attacking his hands with a stab swat or a T swat or a forklift or catching his hands. I would work the move, but I wouldn't work it unless I got close to the man. Back up 3 yards. Work to the man. Focus on his hands with whatever move you're trying to do. I will work that drill over and over again. And you know what? I will purposely put something behind the man to try and distract you. Sometimes I'll work pass rush moves in my facility and I'll put on the projector behind me. I'll put on TV. I'll show something, behind the guy or behind me being the offensive lineman, and I'll have them attack me and work a move with a little distraction behind me. Then I will work on having somebody behind them with numbers, cards, flashing their hand, waving a towel, doing whatever they can to distract them, maybe 5 yards away, 3 yards away. Try to purposely distract them so that they can really see the contrast and being distracted or being focused. Most of the time, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that's where the inefficiency happens, is when we lose focus at the wrong time. We're looking at the wrong thing. We're focused on the wrong thing. And that's what you have to work on. That's the solution. Work on your hand-eye coordination, but not just catching tennis balls, at second week of the season. You know what I mean? That's off-season stuff. Nothing wrong with doing that as a warm-up, doing that at home, doing that in pre-practice. Sure, you can do that. But right now, it's season right now, big dog. It is season. And if you are in season, if you're listening to this podcast and you are in season, put that off-season stuff away. It's time to attack hands. Because when you defeat the hands, you defeat the man. But when you get close to the man, you got to be able to focus on the hand. That's what we should be doing right now, is focusing on that. You understand what I'm saying, big dog? If you can listen to what I'm saying and apply what I'm telling you right now, big dog, you will be successful. You have to be able to focus in the fight. If you want to be able to fight, you got to be able to focus. If you want to be a great pass rusher, you got to be able to focus. If you want to be a great run stopper, you have to be able to focus. If you want to be able to defeat double teams, you have to be able to focus. If you want to deal with fold blocks, reach blocks, you got to be able to focus. If you want to deal with scoops, you got to be able to focus. If you want to be able to not get caught on a bootleg, you have to be able to focus. If you want to be able to deal with that trap and that counter, you have to be able to focus. You have to focus on the point of attack. The challenge is that play by play, the point of attack changes, but you have to be able to focus on the point of attack play by play. You have to know what you're looking at and focus on the point of attack. Big dog, that's what it takes to be successful. It takes for you to focus. Am I just talking about football? No, I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about being able to not be distracted. I'm talking about being able to focus. As a man, being able to focus. Whatever you're doing, being able to focus and not get distracted. A lot of times you have goals in life you want to accomplish, and sometimes things coming in your way to keep you from being able to focus. And so when you lose focus, you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish when you lose focus. When you lose focus, big dog, you can't see. Everything get blurry and you can't see what you're trying to do because you're losing focus. There's no point. There's no focus. There's no clarity in what I'm trying to do. Everything is blurry and I can't focus on what I'm trying to see. Matter of fact, I don't know what I'm seeing because everything is blurry. Why? I have no focus. I have no focus. It is very important. One, to be able to focus. Two, to be able to remove things in your way that's keeping you from focusing. That's important. To me, that green grass represents life. To me, that guy in front of you represents opposition. To me, being able to get to the quarterback represents a goal. To me, being able to focus to work through to get to me is a life skill that is important. That's why I love football so much, because to me, it's not just about football. It's not just about tackles and sacks. It's about taking these principles and applying them to your life. I got something that I want to do. I got somewhere that I've got to be. I got something that I want to accomplish. And a lot of times things get in my way and I can't see straight sometimes because things are there in front of me to distract me. However, I've learned through life, if you live long enough, you learn that in life you have to be able to focus and zoom in on what's at hand. Zoom in on what's at hand. And to me, that's important. And as an adult right now, as a grown man, not playing football no more, but I'm coaching the game, I still find myself applying the same principles in life. And I find myself being successful because I know how to focus. I know how to be precise in what I am doing. I know how to not be distracted. I know how to remove myself from distractions and be successful and hit my target. Big dog, it don't change. The day you decide to hang your cleats up, the day you decide to hang your helmet up, you give your jersey back, you put your shoulder pads away, and your cleats are away on the shelf somewhere. Big dog, it don't change. You still playing the game. It don't change. You still playing the game. And those things that hopefully you're learning in the game, you apply outside of the game all the time. I'm still getting sacks, big dog. I'm still making tackles. I'm still making plays. I'm still helping my team win because I've learned how to take the things I've learned from the game and apply them to my life. Don't be out there playing the game and not getting no philosophies, not learning any skills or developing yourself as a person. Develop the person and then the player. Don't develop the player because the person may not ever get developed. Big dog, understand that you are developing also your person because you can't play always. And if you put this thing in priority and you develop the person and then the player, when the player stops playing, the person is developed and he's still playing the game, but he's playing the game called life because you've been developing your person all along. Big dog, that's what it's all about. Being able to focus in your fight. Being a successful pass rusher. Being a successful run stopper. But even more so than that, when your game has ended and the clock hit 0-0-0-0 for you, when that point comes, because it is, can you still play the game called life? Because you know how to focus in your fight. Big dog, I'm talking the truth now. That's what it's all about.
Let's work.
Big dog, as always, I appreciate you spending time with me. Like two wise men under the tree. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's work.
Appreciate you spending time with me, big dog. I know you could have been doing anything else, but I appreciate you listening to what I have to say. And I got a lot to say. I have a lot to say about this game because to me, we complain about our future, but our future, we look at every day. And that's these kids, teenagers, young adult. They listening to us, they watching us. Unfortunately, we're not at the forefront of what they're watching. We're not at the forefront of what they're listening to. But I'm hoping that at some point, at some time, they come across this podcast and they hear on what it means to be successful as a person and a player in that order. Appreciate you, Big Dog. As I mentioned, Big Dog Trench Talk is an extension of BigDogFootball.com. Yes, I'm biased. BigDogFootball.com is the greatest online site for D-line content. It is the Netflix of D-line. Big Dog, I dare you to go check it out. I double dog dare you to go check out BigDogFootball.com. We have been stacking it with content, Big Dog. I'm on fire right now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it, Big Dog. It's all I get to do. That's all I get to do is serve you. So come check me out. Come visit the site. We got pass rush tutorials, run stopping tutorials, drills, skill development, EDDs, everyday drills. Big Dog, we got whatever you need. And if something is not on there that you would like to see, as some of you have been doing, and I appreciate it, reach out to me. We'll do a video on it. We'll do a tutorial on it. And make sure you have the best content accessible to you. Big Dog, I appreciate you. And this has been another awesome podcast. And I appreciate you being with me at Big Dog Trench Talk. All right, Big Dog. Go work on your focus so you can fight.
Let's work.
You know what time it is? Put your hands in the dirt and let's go to work.
Let's